Patricia Kingori, Head of Marketing for Samsung. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, Patricia, before we get into the interview, of course, what is your view about the property prices in Kenya?
My personal view is that actually they are quite unaffordable. And I think the market is reaching a point of saturation, whereby if you drive around, you'll find a lot of the houses, the rental houses, be they for offices or just for homes, they're actually empty. And that tells you something, that they're not getting any cheaper, and people are not able to afford staying there. Mm-hmm. So I think we're getting to a point of saturation where investors need to think twice before they put on more buildings, and or else revise the costs.
Maybe last word, how easy is it to own a home in Kenya?
I think it's not easy. If you look at how many Kenyans are actually bankable so that you can actually be able to get a mortgage, and the stringent requirements that mortgages also the banks ask for when you're getting a mortgage, I don't think there are many Kenyans who can actually afford it. Yes.
Thanks for your views on that. Of course, that was a by the way.
Yes.
Well, Patricia, you work for Samsung, and we understand that the company has been making significant inroads in Kenya and also in East Africa in the mobile phone market, as well as electrical appliances. Perhaps just paint for us a picture of how is the state of affairs in the Kenyan market, bearing in mind the increasing competition we are seeing from other brands as well.
Samsung as an office has been in the Kenyan market now, say, for about 12 years, starting off as a branch and now is a marketing subsidiary. And for sure that our market share has grown in both mobile and in consumer electronics. As you know, we're a global leader in innovation and technology, and our market shares in both have been way above average. Our mobile, for example, in smartphones, we're already over 60% of the market share. So in terms of growth, we've grown very significantly this region. And when I say this region, our office covers about 16 countries around the East and Central Africa region. But we've not just grown in business. We have also invested in terms of corporate citizenship back to the communities.
Yeah.
In our corporate citizenship, we have primarily 4 pillars. One is education. The other is environment, the other is vocational training, and the other is in health. But what we've really focused on is education. And I must say it's very interesting because right through in your session, Abby, you've talked about agriculture, you've talked about housing, and just now it was mentioned that the government has been doing electrification in schools, and now there is the water project that's happening. And from a Samsung perspective, we've been investing in the quality of education in terms of using technology, and also certain facts that were actually quite disturbing. If I may share with you, UNESCO had data in 2015 where they did research on literacy levels. So according to UNESCO, Sub-Saharan Africa, the literacy level is about 70%, and the target for 2015 was to get it up to 74%. But what is surprising is that in East Africa, our literacy level is 25%. And a standard 2 child, that's a 7 to 8-year-old child, 85% of them cannot read a paragraph in English. So what does that tell you? Now, we have 47 counties in our country. Out of the 47 counties, we have on average about 35,600 schools. That's primary and secondary schools. Out of that, about 25,600 are public schools. But in that 25,600 public schools, there are only 210 libraries, which is less than 1%. It's actually 0.8%. Whereas in the private sector, where we have about 9,700 schools, there are about 5,000 libraries, which is 51%. So you find that we've not invested in libraries, which means that our children are not reading books. They're not reading English, they're not reading Swahili, and therefore literacy has become a challenge. So as Samsung, we've taken this challenge in 2 ways. One, we have we are investing in what we call smart libraries.
Yeah.
So we have, with the Ministry of Education, we have selected schools in different areas, and we are putting e-books on our tablets. English and Kiswahili. And then we are also buying physical books, because not all books have been actually put on...
Digitized.
Yes, they've not been digitalized.
Yeah.
So we are giving this and building libraries for them. Our first pilot was in 2013 in Thika Primary. And actually, the grades of English and Kiswahili have really improved. Further to that, because we are a technology farm, we have what we call the solar-powered internet schools.
Yeah.
And we have one in Rongai, Ongata Rongai. And this uses technology to teach the students. And what has happened is, one, we found that because of the exciting way of teaching, students are actually not missing school anymore. They're actually there.
There's something that is
yes, there's something
attracting
exciting to
them
look
back to
forward
school.
to, because they're using the tablets, and then the content is actually richer. So you find that the retention of what they're taught is much higher. If I can remind you, when you did geography, if you can remember those days, and you had to see, let's say, an eruption of a volcano, all they did was to draw the mountain and then draw something, and then the rest of you, you just imagine. So can you imagine a teacher getting a clip from National Geographic of an actual eruption and sharing that in a geography class with the students?
Totally changes.
It totally changes.
That's true.
The whole way of content consumption, memorability, and that child will never forget, because it's completely ingrained. It's visual, and it's emotive kind of connection with the content. Yes.
I know Samsung, you've also been quite active in working with the startups, especially iHub and the rest.
Yes.
Of course, there's the focus for the farmers. We've seen a lot of companies trying to develop apps that farmers can use to sell their goods. Of course, farmers have the huge challenge of market access. I don't know, how has been the situation like?
At Samsung, what we've done is to facilitate apps development with iHub, as you said, and also with iLab in Strathmore, iLab Africa. And then working with actually third parties, which is usually a corporate that has a need and makes that request to us. So, for example, we've worked with the Kenya Law, and we've actually we developed an app with them and Strathmore, and developed an app where you can get the Constitution, figure out which case is happening in which law court, and stuff like that, and this was ingrained. We've also worked with the pharmaceutical board in terms of trying to ensure that they were trying to monitor the fake pharmacists that open up shops around the country. We've not done too much with the agriculture, but I know there are apps that have been there that have tried to help the farmers market their products, get competitive markets, because sometimes that's actually the biggest challenge you find in the rural areas.
Sure.
So app development is something we do in partnership with existing entities that are already doing app development. And what we do is that we offer them an opportunity to put this app on our Samsung app stores, which is found within our tablets and our phones. Yes.
And do you feel that agribusiness is likely to be another area that corporates need to focus on? Because by all indications, agribusiness is coming out as the new shift. It's like the new paradigm shift. A lot of Kenyans are having interest in agriculture. People have small pieces of land where they're saying, hey, can I do something with this place? Of course, as a tech company, as we get your thoughts, what is the way forward in terms of improving the potential of agriculture in the country?
Definitely, we have to agree that technology has impacted all of us and the way we live completely. And you cannot underestimate its importance when it comes to agriculture, because people need information. If you have this much of land, then you need to make sure that you optimize everything you have, and you have to get a lot of content. And a lot of that is found through our tablets, our phones, and then you access that information. So yes, technology has a big role to play in terms of educating and informing farmers what there is, how to do it, and where to sell the product. Because even if you produce but you cannot sell the product, then still it beats the purpose of the whole thing. So yes, food is an important part of any society, and more so here. And if we can upskill such that it actually becomes a profitable business, then yes, we definitely cannot ignore that. Yes.
Maybe your parting shot, what should you expect from Samsung? What's the outlook like?
Definitely, every year we are there to meet our consumer needs. We have a voice, we listen to our consumer and what they require, and what we innovate and what we make is actually tailor-made to the consumer needs.
Okay.
And at the same time, we do not forget to give back to society based on our core competences and our core businesses.
Many thanks.
Yes.
We're
Thank
speaking
you.
to Patricia Kingori, who is the lead marketing director at Samsung. Just breaking it down for us to understand what sort of trends we are seeing in Kenya and what else holds in the future. Well, let's start